Hello, and my name is Nas, and I just want to share with you some thoughts from the Bible, from the Word of God. And this is about pride. Pride of Nebuchadnezzar, President Trump, and all of us. Well, I want to apply this story to our lives towards the end. And just bear me out. I want to show you Nebuchadnezzar, and then we'll go from there. So let's read one verse. Nebuchadnezzar had a dream, and nobody could interpret it. And so Daniel was the one who could interpret. Daniel was a man of God. And Daniel answered and said, Blessed, this is Daniel chapter 2, verse 20. Daniel answered and said, Blessed be the name of God forever and ever, for wisdom and might are his. And he changeth times. So here's what we understand about God. He changeth times and seasons. So God controls the times and seasons. He removeth kings and setteth up kings. Amazing. God removed kings and setteth up kings. It's not up to us who can vote him in or can vote him out. He giveth wisdom unto the wise, and knowledge to them that know no understanding. So we know that God controls everything. So Nebuchadnezzar had this dream, and Daniel interpreted it. At the end of the interpretation, look what Nebuchadnezzar did. Then the king, Nebuchadnezzar, fell upon his face and worshipped Daniel, and commanded that they should offer an oblation and sweet odors unto him. So Nebuchadnezzar worshipped Daniel. That is typical of somebody who doesn't know God. He would worship a man. But look what happened next. And the king answered unto Daniel and said, Of a truth it is that your God is a God of gods, and a Lord of kings, and a revealer of secrets, seeing thou couldst reveal the secret. That is what most people do. They acknowledge there's a God. They acknowledge that there's a man upstairs. Or they acknowledge the higher power. But they don't know that God. Acknowledging the true God doesn't mean it makes you godly or spiritual. It does not make you a good man. It doesn't make you a Christian. Acknowledging doesn't do anything to you. I'm going to prove that to you what happened to Nebuchadnezzar. So Nebuchadnezzar, after seeing Daniel, gave him this secret, he built an image of gold that was very high, and he then forced the people. In this chapter we see he forces the people to worship this golden image. And then he found some people of the Jewish people that did not want to worship it. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, we know the story, was thrown in a fiery furnace. And Nebuchadnezzar was very mad, and because they did not obey him to worship that image. So again, acknowledging that there's a higher God or a God that's better than your God doesn't mean you can believe. You believe. That doesn't help you to believe. Acknowledging is not believe. It's just saying there is somebody higher than you. Anyway, let's get on to the... so I want to show you... so Nebuchadnezzar was a very powerful man, and he was the greatest, and he always liked to brag, and he had the greatest kingdom, and he was a ruler over other nations. We understand that. King Nebuchadnezzar had another dream. So this dream is what really put him to the fire. He had a dream about a huge tree growing, and then God cuts it off, and he did not understand that. But Daniel gave him the interpretation. Let's see. So Daniel interpreted this dream and told the king what it was. It was a big tree which was Nebuchadnezzar that's going to be growing as a up to reaching up to heavens, and then also where he was going to be cut down. But then Daniel, the man of God, gives Nebuchadnezzar some advice because he saw what was coming. Wherefore, O king, let my counsel be acceptable unto thee, and break off thy sins by righteousness, and thine iniquities by showing mercy to the poor, if it may be a lengthening of thy tranquility. Oh my goodness, Daniel saw what's coming, and he warned the king to stop sinning and get onto the right path, but he did not. Look what happened in the next verse. And at the end, when Nebuchadnezzar was in his palace, so at the end of 12 months, he walked in the palace of the kingdom of Babylon. That's the palace. And the king spake and said, Is not this great Babylon that I have built for the house of the kingdom by the might of my power, and for the house of my majesty? Wow. He thought everything he did by his power was by his might. And he acknowledged Daniel had a God, but he did not believe that God did everything. And see what happened. While the word was in his king's mouth, there fell a voice from heaven, saying, O King Nebuchadnezzar, to thee it is spoken, the kingdom is departed from thee. That moment, God made him like an animal. His hair grew, nails grew, and he was eating grass for at least 7 years. Nebuchadnezzar humbled himself and acknowledged that God is the real God. Let's see. At the same time, my reason returned unto me, and for the glory of the kingdom, my honor and brightness returned unto me, and my counselor and my Lord sought unto me, and I was established in my kingdom, and the excellent majesty was added unto me. He became a king again. Amazing. That is one of the amazing stories where he humbled himself and then he became king again, or was established as a king again. Well, we know other people like that. If I look at today, we have a president, and I love President Trump. But again, he's very much the same. And he has the pride of Nebuchadnezzar. He liked to call himself the greatest president. He liked to call himself he's the best. The best president ever lived since whenever. I've heard him one day say, I am smart. So all of this is what pride brings to people, is the might and the power and the money. But all of us have also pride again. Also, we all have pride. Let me explain. Pride comes in many ways. The biggest pride is when you tell God you are good enough to go to heaven. That is the biggest pride. When somebody asks you, what do you think? Why should you go to heaven? And you say, I'm a good person. I believe in God. I go to church. I do good things. I'm not a bad person. All of those are is signs of pride. I'm going to tell you what you should do to understand what you should do to go to heaven. If you can humble yourself, then God will lift you up. Humble means you acknowledge and understand that you have sinned against God. The slightest sin, it doesn't matter if it's a small lie or something small you've done wrong, that is sin against God. And if you can understand that that sin will take you to hell, then you are humbled before God. Say, God, I have sinned before you. I'm going to give you a quick illustration of two people in the Bible. One said, there was two thieves next to Jesus hanging on the cross. One said, if you are God, why don't you take us off these crosses? I wanted to see if you are God. Very arrogant. He did not believe Jesus was God. The other thief said, when you get to heaven, to your kingdom, remember me. That very moment, he believed Jesus was God, because he said, Jesus, when you go to your kingdom. And he believed he was going to hell, because he said, when you get to kingdom, remember me. That is a man who humbled himself before God, and that moment Jesus said, I'll see you in paradise today. You need to come to that point where you understand you need to be saved. Not think you can save yourself by being good or doing good things. If you can come to that point where you say, Jesus, I'm a sinner. Please, I know I'm going to hell. Please save me. That moment is when Jesus will save you. I thank you for watching, and I see you on the next video.